it's me, Pete McKinnon. Sorry about this. I look like a bit of how you say, hey man, look like a beetle, man. uh, bad impression. Oh God, it's a bad impression. It's good to be back with you on the P.G.M Show, and my next guest is a delight, a fantastic man, and one of the best people in the community, I think. And I'm so honored and so pleased to actually introduce uh, 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 um, a nice, lovely man, and a friend of mine from overseas. Now I can call that. I can say that. I can probably say that. So let's all welcome Mr. JJ John Joker. There we go.
Hello, hello. I, I should have walked in and been like, "Hey, hello, hi everyone. How you doing? PGM. How you doing, Peter? It's finally nice
Oh,
to be on a live It's been a while with Revel, so it's an honor to be with you as well. So this is gonna be great. I'm glad.
oh, mate.
I'm glad that it's happened.
Uh, it's actually it's quite cool having you on because I've always wanted to meet you.
Same
Um,
here.
to we're gonna have fun, of course, because it's just like it's off the cuff. Everybody knows that, of course. It's off the cuff. I've got no questions whatsoever. My life's a freaking mess anyway, so it's fine. Um, I know. You're. I don't know whether you want to talk about it or not, but I do admire you. I'm gonna shoot from the heart here, John.
Okay,
First off, I admire you as a person for. And if you don't want to talk about it, we won't.
I'm
Um,
off. Right, that's fine.
because you don't do your YouTube channel now because of what went on with your life.
Yes.
That's why I'm a big admirer of yours to actually you stepped away because of your family and because of your health and your mental health. Right. So I was going to say fan. I am a fan. I'm a huge friend. I want to meet you because of that. Because you had the strength.
Well,
You had
thank
this.
you.
You had the strength to do that. If I may ask, uh, how did you do that? Because some people can't do that.
Well, I mean, when you have a lot of work to do and you have family, you got to focus on what's important. Of course, I had a son and then I ended up having a daughter. So, a lot of this had to be stepped away for them. And, you know, um, it does hit you pretty hard health wise if you don't take care of yourself because you have a lot of things that you have to focus on. And if you're here, one, like trying to do everything at one time, it does get, you know, it does mess you up in a certain way where you need to start putting priorities straight and just focus on what you got to do first to get the first situations out and going and you know until you correct yourself and have that correction with your family. I think then the rest will come into play and you know um, that was just and then having some health issues, of course. That's what my son, he just woke up. My Some of my health issues affected me, and well, of course, that just made me realize that I had to kind of push away a little bit and start just focusing on what I have to do health wise, physically and mentally, and what I had to do for my kids, health wise and mentally for them as well. um I'm 41 years old. I'll be 42 this year. I want to live at least another 20, 30 years for them, and live a lot longer to where I can still continue enjoy doing even like this one live stream.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I did step away from my channel, but I haven't stepped away from YouTube to where I'm still going and saying hi to everybody, saying to you, seeing people in the chat, seeing people's live streams, and that's what's important to me is still continue on to getting to know that I'm still out there to support anybody that needs the support, because there is a big difference when you can support somebody else and then when you're receiving support, and
Mm,
uh, that's what's important, because we all, it's like you said earlier, your life is your life's a mess. The way I see it, everybody's life's a mess. We just gotta keep moving forward, and
mm,
sometimes with a little bit of help from others that are, you know, you may need help, and I'm just maybe 4,000 miles away, but any little thing like a donation to you from all the way
mm.
over here to the seas there would be something that I think you would, you know, not accept, but the word is more like you'll be gratified and you'll be happy. You'll be like, wow, I have true friends, even though I don't get to shake hands or hug them. I still get to say hi and be like, hey, it's good to see you. You know? Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm actually an open book. You can say whatever you want to say. It doesn't bother me at all. That's all I'm
yeah.
about. You know.
Funny thing is about New Zealand. When we have YouTube channels here in New Zealand, we don't get monetized. It says on the YouTube studio that sorry, this location is not monetized, so we can't open a YouTube join account for getting money for getting money in donations. So we're out of luck, as Clint Eastwood
Well, what
say, shit
about
out.
PayPal?
Yeah.
What about PayPal, Cash App, and all that?
We can get those, but when you
Okay.
can get the join, that little bubble join down in the right hand side of wherever it is, we doesn't do it for us in New Zealand. I don't know why. I don't ask me why. I don't know. So maybe we're not just the big a big place
Hmm.
that
Interesting.
you
It's
know.
probably
Yep. Yep.
it's probably maybe with anything to do with YouTube and your politicians.
Yeah.
Probably
Probably.
that's what it is. Just with the government and YouTube over there in New Zealand doesn't help. So maybe it's just
Yeah.
something that you guys are gonna have to fight for. You know.
Yeah, well, the thing is that I'll probably get Patreon when I get a little bit more substantial, you know. Uh, but I'm
Oh, there
not
you go.
really, I'm not really worried about subscribers mainly. I'm not really worried about views. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy meeting people like yourself and talking and getting to know you, JJ, as a person, as a collector. Uh, and as really, I mean, I came to the conclusion, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think now you're a gun for hire. And what I mean by that is a gun for hire that you can pop onto Rebels or anybody's stream and just, have fun.
Yeah,
Is that,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm the John Wick of the YouTube. you know that. Like you said, gun for hire. I'm the Baba Yaga for YouTube. Yeah, it's just getting to know a lot of people, and people know how I am. That I have a heart to help out in many ways, especially when there's a lot of donations or charities going on that people need help with, and if there's anything that I can give in donation wise or with collections so they could make more money, I'm always willing
Right.
to
Yeah.
do that. Or one of the biggest things that if I had the chance to come back to YouTube to talk about, I would. But right now with my situation, I actually um I'm actually going to go on with surgery in May. Not a lot of people know this. Well, some people know this, but I am going to have the surgically repaired hernia, so that's going to keep me off.
Oh,
Maybe I might
oh,
do some YouTube there. I don't
yeah.
know yet, but one of the things, and even Yukon came out, and it's this whole mental health thing. I think that's something that needs to be um, talked more. And I don't want to go
Yes.
into the whole political side, but the honest truth, like here in the States, they're all about when an incident happens, it's all like, oh, we need to control guns, we need to control guns, it's gun control. That's not it. It's to find out why people are doing that. It's the mental health of these people, because they can come in, they're okay one once in their life, they're okay, and then all of a sudden something breaks them down, and then they're doing that.
Mm.
And hello, Darth Muzza, how you doing, Darth Muzza? And
Yeah, we got one on the chat, but it says three. Where's the third?
that's okay with me. The three, the better, the merrier. I mean, hey, three is a crowd. That's how I see it.
Before
And
you
well,
continue,
going back to uh
before you continue, I did the promo on Thursday, so that's because of my health issues. I was trying to actually get it get it all done
oh,
and get the ads, get the promo going and going. So yeah, it's my fault. Yeah, blame me. Anyway, go on, go on, JJ.
well, I mean, I'm just gonna cut it short, but on that part, on this situation, but I had a cousin that, you know, before before the Uvalde incident happened here in Texas, um,
Right.
you know, he had guns in his house, and he was looking for a little scope for to add on, and he said the wrong words that he could have said to the person that he was buying it off of. They reported him, and they went in and they arrest him for three terroristic threats, and they saw the weapons he had and all the ammo. And to say that it was the guns that killed anybody, no. It took one person to call, because we don't know what he would have done. But going back to that, my cousin, I've known him for so many years. I mean, I used to sleep at his house. This is my second cousin. Used to sleep at his house, spend the night, have fun, play games. He was always off. He was never a normal person to be, talkative. He was always distant. He would always like, hi, yeah, like he was never that person to be sociable. So things there must have escalated, because I hadn't seen him in years after the last time I would hang out with him. And I, if he were to have done something, I would speak out and say, like, hey, we need to focus on mental health, because something is going on here. He just didn't go and do that because he wanted to. There was something going on mentally, because he has never been okay. And this is coming from a family member. And, so it really hits kind of hard and close in my family when some situation happened like it did earlier this week in Nashville. Then it comes back to think, like, my cousin could have done something like that. But he's never, but it's all up here,
Mm.
and I don't know. It's just it goes where, and seeing a lot of people don't know this, but when they say that, oh, gun control will work, it's not. I mean, I don't see how that would work here in the States, which is a bigger country than Switzerland. In Switzerland, it's a must that you have a weapon, a gun in your house, and they don't have a serious crime spree going on. I mean, well, we got to learn from other countries, and stop. And that's the problem with us in the States. I think we're so, oh, we are so old time, putting our tie up, and, well, we helped you at World War II. We helped you here, and it's time that, instead of like, well, it's we, it's like, well, we need to know what we can help do to better our people, our country, because we have a lot of innocent people here in this country, and we need to start looking around at other countries to see how they do it. You know, we're still looking
Can
back at
I
history, and we're not changing anything.
can I add with that as well? I don't want to
Sure.
be. I don't want to talk about the political side of it on your country, although I do actually watch pundits on YouTube. But yes, I got to say that I don't want to weigh in because I could be entirely wrong here. And then gun issue in America is a huge problem, regardless of it being mental or physical. It's just a huge problem.
Hmm.
Um, there's more gun violence in America than there is in the entire world. And I think you might be right. I think you might be hitting it on my head. It might be the some of it might be mental illness, right? So that's got to be addressed. It's got to be addressed everywhere, really, actually, in your country, everywhere. But
everywhere.
again, I'm not an expert on guns or gun violence um, or your country at all. But I mean, I'm I've had mental health issues myself, and most of us have really. Okay, I mean, I've had
Hmm.
anxiety problems, I've had depression problems and stress problems up the wazoo in my life, and that all stems from alcoholism, right? Which stems for most of the population and in every world and everywhere, right?
Yeah.
I think I think you're right. Yeah. For my understanding of mental health issues, yes, you can talk about mental health issues on YouTube, but my and that's great. Awareness is great, fantastic. But I always ensure, and I've assured T3 on his YouTube is if you're going to talk about it, address it, make aware of the health issues and the mental health issues, but also make aware that they need the people who have issues go to the right doctors, right?
Hmm.
Have links to doctors or psychologists or professional people who can help, right? uh, I'm always saying to friends that if you have mental health issues, go to a friend who you can trust, who you love, who sits down there and just listens. Don't say anything,
Hmm.
just listen, right? Let them
Exactly.
talk. Let them talk. Don't say a word. Don't even say, I'm going to say this, I'm sorry to say, don't even say that, oh, I know where you're coming from. That's the last thing
Oh
that
yeah.
people don't. That's the last thing people don't want if they've got serious health issues. And I mean serious, I mean suicidal issues. You just sit
Yeah.
there, you say nothing, you shut your mouth, and you just be there for that, for the woman, man, child, anybody. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, our population, JJ, our population of we have a suicide risk awareness here, and we are the largest population in the world of young suicide victims in this country. Right? We don't know what it is. It's the makeup in the brain, right? Um, it's it could be anything. Mental health
Yeah.
could be anything. So
Yeah.
uh, anyway, that's
Well, like you said about the suicide rates, I mean, a good example in in the Asian area. Well, you be considered part of Asia, but
yeah.
further up from New Zealand, some people suicide up there because they get disowned by their family if they get a B in school. I don't know if a lot of people know that in the I don't know if it's Korean culture, and then they're disowned or they're like hated, and it's like, well, I'm gonna jump, and then in other places it's loneliness, it's just
Mm,
getting tired of life. The
mm,
thing with me that bothers me is that when these people go out and do what they do, they know that's a suicide thing. Like, I'm not saying I'm gonna do this, and I hope anybody's watching this, but it's just an example. But if I decide, well, I'm gonna go shoot up this school right here or whatever, that
mm,
is already saying that I'm gonna end up getting myself killed because
mm,
law enforcement officers are gonna react. And
mm,
if I start doing what I'm doing, it's already a suicide thing. So we need to know what's going on that part. And it's like you said, yes, we have one of the biggest big gun violence here. That's a big major issue. My problem is that when people get mad that if we get weapons taken away that are serious, it's not fair for the law. See, because we have the Second Amendment right, and I ain't gonna go any
mm,
further in the politics part, but it's not fair that a bad guy does what they do wrong for the good guy to have their weapons taken away. And people say, well, that's the best thing because then we won't have those major weapons. Wrong, because we also have export we also have a border where
mm,
bad things happen down there. And if a person wanted to get an assault rifle, they can do it under the table. And I'm sorry, but somebody with a handgun is not going to be able. I mean, there is a big percentage. I mean, there is a good percent, not a big percent. I'm sorry, a good percentage where the person with the handgun could probably take down the person with the assault rifle. But more of those chances, the assault rifle that's going to end up beating the handgun. Just like the handgun, it can end up beating the knife more times than the knife can beat the gun. Depending on the person. So you're right. I'm not gonna say that you're wrong that we have a big issue on the gun violence, but I think also there's a lot of things that are being lost. And one of them that I'm seeing in this, and it's not just here in the States, but around the world, is that we're losing a respect for each other. There's a
mm,
lot of there's a lot of evil going on in this world that's kind of scary
mm,
for the innocent people. And again, I don't want to go into politics or in religion because it's to each their own. But either somebody needs to find something that's going to make them happy, or
mm,
like you said, find God. And if you don't believe in God, then find something that makes you happy. Find that
mm,
comfort that I don't care if you have to go exercise, play music, write poems, read, do art, collect. If you don't have the money for it, go uh, somewhere where you can collect cans, or just do something that'll get rid of that mind and ease your mind, because we're all human. I mean, I
yeah.
appreciate you saying what you said, that I'm a good person and everything, but I'm human too. I get mad. I get sad. I'm
Yeah.
not I'm not the
Yeah.
Terminator. I mean,
I hope not. You'll be coming over to the future and killing me.
no,
Yes.
no, never, never,
Yeah.
never.
Bad impression of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator thing. Anyway,
It was a good one, buddy. It was a good one.
but yeah, it's a very. I mean, it's you're right. I mean, yeah, collect something that you enjoy or do something you enjoy, and really, I mean, I for one was thankful for my boss, my last boss who was cleaning for, which was the city gym, um, and I was a cleaner for decades. Well, yeah, actually, say decades, and I began to hate the job. Absolutely, freaking hate the job. So he gave me an out. He gave me he said look because I asked him because I was fully sick. Sneezing, coughing, spluttering all over the thing, all over the people and mirrors and whatever. But that. I digress. And he says, "No, I won't fire you, Pete. I'll let you go." So there is a thing that yeah, I'm unemployed. Don't shoot me for that. Whoops, wrong phrase of words. Um, and I love meeting people like you,
Nah,
and interviewing people like you, JJ, or the people I have. I love that. I simply love that, and getting along with them, having a laugh, and seeing really what life is like for you over there as a collector. I mean, you're heavily into GI Joe, but what and heading into the collecting side of this, what else have you collected over the years?
well, I mean, I before the whole situation of things going up, with prices going up, I was pretty much collecting everything. I was collecting McFarlane, Dragon Ball, of course, GI Joe, Transformers, Marvel Legends. Now I've cut back, and it's mostly been collecting more of the retro. Honestly, the three things that I've been collecting, or four things, whatever you want to call it. I'm still collecting a few McFarlane. GI Joe is one of the biggest things, of course, as you see in the background, which I'm not done yet, but I'm gonna end up getting completed soon. Of course, it's classified and vintage. So I mean, vintage is one of the my bucket lists. I want to get
Oh yes,
everything from
right, right,
1982 to
yeah,
1994.
yeah, yeah.
Weapons, the little accessories, you name it, the whole shebang. Um, the retro, like I said, the retros of of Marvel. Of course, let me show you one. What I mean. Ugh. So, like these I've been collecting.
Oh,
I actually
yes,
have
yeah.
two apocalypses because I want to open this one up, and then for some reason, because of the prices going up in Marvels right now, in Marvels being $30 now, $40, I've been going back to Toy Biz,
Oh, okay.
and
I've done one.
I've been finding Toy Biz figures for like excuse me, $10, $30. So I'm like, well, I rather buy this for that price, which is older, than something that's newer.
Right.
So
Mm.
I've been getting into this. I've been getting a lot into the Super Sevens. I have a few Super Sevens, and I'm still collecting my Hot Toys. Hot Toys are the ones that are my hot commodities that I would love to get all of them, but sometimes they
Right.
go quick. And right now I have a few pre-orders. Uh, the recent ones that I got were the Armor and Bo-Katan.
Oh, okay.
One of my
Yeah.
goals for Hot Toys one of my goals for Hot Toys is in the Star Wars section. I want to get all the Mandalorians. The show Mandalorian has been my favorite Star Wars thing right now. I am getting Boba Fett. I mean, I'm sorry. I am getting Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader from the Obi-Wan series, which is
Right.
one of my favorite series as well. Um, I know a lot of people are not happy that it was a limited series, but I was happy the way it was, the way it ended, the way they did it. I don't
Really?
think we should see any more Obi-Wan. Yeah, no, really, really, really. It,
I have
it's just
one.
that
I have one
so
argument. I have one argument. One argument with that. With it. But anyway,
we'll
it's,
get to that in a bit. Um, my thing is that I'm so I'm so original from the originals. Like I'm not talking about special edition. To me, keeping the originals, that's the best story. And so when you're trying to add stories, we might end up seeing a little hiccup here that'd be like, well, that doesn't apply. How does that work if this is what they said on this? That like a good example. Um, in order to be a master Jedi, you had to be a part of the council. And one of the things is they made Anakin a master, and it's like, what? But he was never a master in episode 3, So those are the things that kind of like get to me to where it's like, okay, we don't, when you're in this council, you're not as a master. And I'm like, but in Clone Wars, they're already calling him a master. They're calling him Master Skywalker. And I'm like, those are the things that kind of like I see that, like, well, that messes up this because they're doing this. And I have nothing against Clone Wars. I love the way it ended,
oh
but
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
reason why I
yeah.
don't want to see more. That's the reason why I don't want to see more Obi-Wan, because I don't want them to mess up somewhere and then be like, well,
Well,
in New Hope it
see,
says this, but you're
yeah.
saying this now. Kind of like when he said, one of the things that I liked was when Vader said, he goes, I haven't felt a presence since, and then he leaves, and then when he sees that Obi-Wan's in the Death Star, he's like, we meet again, Obi-Wan. Now I am the master and you are the learner and stuff. Hey, Rolando, how you doing, Rolando? It's good to see you, buddy. And
Hey, Rolando.
and making the series and doing that ends it perfectly to saying, now I am the master and now you're the student, or like you were the teacher, but now I am the master, because he learned from the second fight again. And then it's like, okay, cool. Because as we remember, to me in episode 3, Obi-Wan wasn't fighting Darth Vader. Even though he was called Darth Vader, he was fighting him as Anakin Skywalker. In Obi-Wan series, he's fighting Darth Vader. Even though in Obi-Wan's mind, it's like, that's Anakin. That's my friend Anakin. But then I love the way he said it.
I
Goodbye,
can see
Darth.
that. I can see that. I can see that story. I can see that story. Yeah, I love that story. I love that story. But the thing is that I have a little issue with, and I don't mind. Reaver's great. Reaver was great, fantastic in the start, right? But
Yeah.
it's the fact that I don't get, right, is that when Reaver goes and finds Luke, where the how the hell did she know Luke was on the planet? It was also really, I she should have died on in the hands of Vader, skewing right.
What
Um,
again?
Reva
Again?
right? Again. She didn't. She didn't die. And in the game, remember the game of Cal Kestis, the first game, right,
Yeah.
where Vader killed, where Vader killed the
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 fourth,
other
the fourth sister. I think it was the
fourth
fourth
sister,
sister.
right? Fourth sister
I think so. I
skewered,
think so.
yeah, skewered her and the run and the gut, right? She died, but in the Obi-Wan series, he did it again, and Reva survived.
Okay.
Plus,
Well,
there's
plus. Okay.
one more, Jago, one more,
You told me
one
two.
more.
You told me one, not two.
Okay, one more of two.
Okay.
Is that when Reva is on Tatooine, you could not see a damn thing, right? And they've
Mhm.
got two moons, for God's sake, right? It's just like, where are you, Luke? It's the if you get what I mean, it's the
Yeah. No, I
visuals.
get. Yeah, and well,
But
see, and that's my thing
other
is that
than that, I like it. Sorry.
on the Obi-Wan series, Pete, is that I'm not looking into Reva's story because it wasn't about Reva or Reva, whatever you want to call her. It wasn't about Reva,
Yeah,
and
you're
I
right.
love
Yeah,
the way Reva acted. I love the way she
yeah,
was
yeah.
real gung ho to where
Mm.
she was like, we need to find him. He's out there. She was more gung ho than Darth Vader was looking for Obi-Wan. And that's what kind of messes up the story a little bit. But other than that, if you don't pay attention too much on Reva, the story
Yeah,
was great. The series was
true.
great.
True.
The
Yeah.
thing with Reva is that she shouldn't have been in that show.
No.
And if she did, she should have been in there for a little bit and then make her own story.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you wanted to keep that part going, make her own story. Like to me, when Obi-Wan or not Obi-Wan, Darth Vader stabbed her, it should have ended with her there. I'm not saying she had to die, but right there, if you wanted to make a spin-off of Reva, let us not see her
Mm.
live. Let us think that
Yep.
she did die again, you know? And then from there, you make the Reva series, and
Yeah.
you see her
True.
wake up or
Yeah.
whatever, and it's like, oh
Yeah.
shoot, she's still alive.
You put her in the
And that's what
acolytes.
they should have done.
Yeah.
There
Put
you
her in the
go.
acolytes.
And that's what they should have done. That's the route
Yeah.
they should have taken.
You're, you're
But
right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. It's yeah. Um.
and then the other thing with her, the other thing that I'm trying to think is like, okay, you brought her out into the Obi-Wan series, which okay, you want to make her your they want to make her your Ahsoka Tano of the Sith version or dark side, whatever. But what are you gonna do next with her? That and that's one of the things that I'm kind of like a little sketchy with her because okay, nobody liked Book of Boba. I'm not gonna say nobody. A lot of people didn't like Book of Boba Fett. I loved it, even though I think the Mandalorian saved it. I still love Book of Boba Fett. It wasn't the bounty hunter that we wanted, but it was still the Boba Fett that we needed, I guess you can say. And I didn't mind it because I can see him getting. I didn't like the way he got out of the Sarlacc pit, but I knew that was the way it was going to happen, and I'm just glad that he came out alive. And he found his new change, and I think the Tusken Raiders is what made him what he is now. And just seeing that character advance after what is it, like 5 years later? He's been in the Sarlacc pit for 5 years. I can see that happening with him, but with Reva, it's like, where are you gonna go with her? I mean, you can't do it like Bad Batch. I mean, Bad Batch is different because it's a bunch of clones that think for themselves. So, I mean, are we gonna continue doing this? That we're gonna do pre-Empire and just bring out these new people out, or pre and mid-Empire and just bring all these people out without us knowing where they were at during New Hope and Empire or Return of the Jedi? I mean, like I said, some of it works, like Rebels. I liked seeing Zeb. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
seeing him in live action, I was like, "Is that him?" I was hoping
Yeah.
it was him, and that's not one of his own race or culture. But what are they going to do with her? You know, you made her this badass. She was trying to kill Vader, You made her weak again.
Hmm.
So now it's kind of like, okay, I couldn't kill the. I hated everybody. Now I don't hate because I couldn't kill this child. Now you're gonna make a weakling, and what's gonna go on next?
Thing is that I
You
think
know?
she'll have to disappear. She'll have to disappear like normal Jedi. You know, it's like there's still, you know, I think she'll have to disappear until she probably crops up. And I think put her in acolytes. I think, I mean, um,
But isn't
you
acolytes
know,
before her?
oh yeah, I think it is too. So okay, it is too. Oh my god. Well,
I think it's before. I think acolyte.
yeah.
You know what? If you want to bring her back, if you want to bring her back. And I think that there's two shows for this. Back for her own spin-off, but you gotta add that spin-off into what I like to see them do it with Darth Vader, the Jedi Purge. That's the way, and do tie-ins with Jedi Purge and the Reva series. I think that's the best way to do it with her. We don't need to see her in the future. We can still see her in that timeline where they're going after Jedi's, and I think that'd be great for Reva, the character,
Yeah.
and seeing
Yeah.
more Darth Vader. That'd be great, man.
Yeah. See Darth Vader lop off her head. I mean, lop. You know, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. Sorry, Moses. Sorry. But we got off track. No, not really.
Yeah.
GI Joe. I mean, you know, you're a big GI Joe collector, which is amazing. I mean, you know.
Well,
Um,
I'm almost a big collector. Not there yet, but I love collecting GI Joe. GI Joe was one of the figures that I had when I was younger, back in the '80s. I stopped collecting a GI Joe in '94 because, well, it was. I mean, my parents were still buying me figures because I wasn't working. I was still young. But '94 is when the line ended, and then they didn't bring it back till '97. But
all right.
3 years later, I was in high school, so I mean, I wasn't gonna be like, well, it's like the saying goes. I was when I was younger, it was my Joes before hoes. Now in high school, it was the hoes before Joes. So that's how that happens. So I rather have the girls before the Joes back in high
Right.
school, and then
Mhm.
before
Right.
high school, when the line was going, it was the Joes before the girls. And um, one of the things was is
Alcohol.
I've always well, you see, we all have our different ways. Um,
It's not now.
and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, as long as you know how to as long as you know how to control your drinking and enjoy your drinking, that's what matters. You're here, you're still around, means that you are
Yeah.
being safe. So that's a good thing. But yeah, GI Joe, I've always wanted all of them when I was young. I love the fact that they came in that back card, and then you had the little file card, and then you can see the new Joes that were coming out. One of the things that I can remember with GI Joes that if you wanted one or the other, you had to pick the one you wanted the most, because then turns out if you come back, that other one you'll never see again. That was with me here, and for me it was Quick Kick and Storm Shadow. I had to pick one of those, and sure enough, I picked Storm Shadow because I'm more into the villains, and I never saw Quick Kick again. You know, one of the guys, and I always tell people, you've always had peg warmers everywhere. Oh, peg warmers was around before people even said peg warmers. One of the guys that was a peg warmer was DJ. He was from the Battle Force 2000s, and GJ was always on the shelves. Nobody cared about DJ, and it was like, man, yeah. If these figures were like Toy Story, you'd feel bad for that figure because he was one of the peg warmers. I mean, for GI Joe and even some of the other ones. I know that time to time Shipwreck was a peg warmer at the times where I was at, and it's just amazing how you can still see how people say, "Oh, peg warming, peg warming." Well, that's always been around. The other thing is the classifieds. These I cannot believe took this long for these to come out in 2020. When
Yeah.
if
Yeah. Well.
I mean, you had the Black Series coming out, and that was like, oh, you've never seen a 6-inch Star Wars figure, and it's like, okay. And with my thing with the 6-inch Star Wars is that I didn't get into them right away because I didn't like the sculptures. But then eventually along the way, when they made Mace Windu, Kit Fisto, and all those, I started collecting. When they decided to do the box change, I stopped, and I was like, you know what, I'm done with Star Wars Black Series. They're not going anywhere. I rather get Hot Toy Star Wars figures than the Black
Right.
Series figures.
Right.
Why? One, because the Hot Toy figures, they look exactly, and you know what, and I'll go to that what Rolando says, exactly like the character. Two, these Black Series, they're just being brought out over and over again, but in different boxes, and I don't really care for that. Now, remolding, using a remold, I don't care about remolds. I've been through remolds before with G.I. Joes and with, I mean, a good example, Masters of the Universe, He-Man. In the 80s, they were all almost the same freaking body, and we didn't care. It was a different character,
Yeah.
So why make a big deal about it now? I mean, I
Yeah.
could understand why make a big deal because the money being pricey, you know, but I didn't care about the remote. So that was the other thing with the 6-inch. Now 3 3/4 inch. If I'm gonna get Star Wars 3 3/4 inch, I'm gonna get vintage.
Right.
Which is a little bit
Yeah.
harder to do because a lot more pricey. But that's why I'm trying to target GI Joe first, and then I want to start targeting the other stuff because, like I said, I've always loved everything. It's not one big thing. I mean, yeah, GI Joe is one of the biggest things because that's what I would watch. But I was getting toys from Mask, Ninja Turtles, Transformers. Um, Again, the Dragon Balls later on. Silverhawks. I was collecting Silverhawks. I mean, anything that I can grab that was an 80s cartoon, I was buying. Or they were buying for me that I wanted. And I was what, 3, 4 years old when they were getting me the Star Wars ones. I wish I knew where I had them. I mean, I wish I still had all my figures. If I knew better, I would have still had them. But you're a kid, you don't know. And
Yeah.
I think honestly, that's the reason why I love collecting action figures. Um, it's just my nostalgia of just loving. I've always been a geek since I was little.
Mm.
So you know, just seeing this figure, this roadblock, and me touching it, it brings me back to my youth. And it's like I remember having this guy, or oh, this is the figure I always wanted when I was little, and now I can have him. I can buy him. I have the money for it. A little more costly, but I have them now, and
But you
that's what
have them in
matters
your
to me.
hand now. Yeah. Again. So yeah.
Exactly.
It's yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Um.
so I have a few vintage Star Wars figures that when I got them when I bought them off of Mark Blue Harvest when he did his auction, I was so happy to get a few. I was like, I got it. So even though I don't have the weapons for this guy, I have like maybe the gun, but I don't have the backpack. I'm still happy because I'm not gonna give this away. And when a lot of people tell me, why are you collector of toys? They're just toys. They don't get the fact that it's nostalgia. Another thing is I
Yeah.
tell them, look, you see this here?
Yeah.
I go, while you're going out there and spending money on stuff that you can't get back, I can have this up in the shelf, enjoy it, and if I get
Mm.
tired of it and I can find somebody who wants to buy it, I can get money back for it. But I'm not looking into the money for it. I'm just looking at it because it's GI Joe and I want it. But that's
Because
the
you
prime example,
enjoy it.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the enjoyment. It's the enjoyment of having it and posing it and saying that nostalgic reasons is a paramount to collectors. I think it always has been
Yes.
nostalgic. I think it will ever be
I gap.
nostalgic. So. All right, gonna get. How's it going? Thank you for joining me and JJ. But it's. I think what people don't get, right, is collecting now is mainly for adults. Kids do collect still, but they're mainly into gaming, which is a good thing because mainly adults are into gaming. So it's there is arguments yes and for, but I think I don't know. What do you think on that? I'm gonna throw it over to you now. So,
Um. Well, I mean, because times are changing, and the thing
sorry,
with the whole
JJ.
gaming is that I hate saying that. Oh, it's okay. The thing with that is that
Oop. Just lost JJ at the moment. He'll pop back in. Oop. It's my commercial break. And here we go.
sorry about that.
Uh, I
Uh,
meant to say that. I meant to say that that JJ is probably going to be dropping in and out, but that's that's all right. That's fine. We can work around that, gang, in the chat. That's fine, isn't it?
yeah, guys, I have some internet issues going on, so I'm using Spotify for my internet right now, so it's gonna
They're
go
called
on and
difficulties.
off.
They're called difficulties.
Difficulties, yeah. I'm trying to use the force to work, so work.
Yeah. Or G.I.
Um,
Joe, muscle and grit and grime. So yeah.
so going back to what you were saying, you know, I was saying that it doesn't seem like the kids these days have an imagination like we did, and of course, when I was when I was when I was a kid, Nintendo was coming around, and I got a Nintendo, but I was more fascinated of the imagination of playing with the toys than wanting to play a video game and knowing how. The thing is that we like to use our minds to see how a story could go on with our figures. Or a good example for me, I would every time when I would, and this is the first time I've ever saying this to anybody, and this is it's awesome that I'm saying this now because I don't care.
Exclusive. I should get an exclusive.
Exclusive. Um, since when I was little, I mean, I've always loved, the Star Wars, the trilogy, the original 4, 5, and 6,
Yeah.
even before they were even called 4, 5, and 6. But when Return of the Jedi ended and we never got to see anything anymore, before I go to bed every night, I would always not dream, but like put myself to sleep by mentally making a story after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
What would happen with Han and Leia and Luke and stuff like that. Hey, Gilster. And that was my imagination. Now these days it seems like kids rather just see an imagination on TV than think of one. And I get that because we would like to see, like, us as fans of Star Wars or G.I. Joe or something. We like with Star Wars, I'd like to see something else different. Like I would like to see more stuff. And that's why I'm glad that they're doing Mandalorian and stuff like that, because we want to see, we want to see the Jedi Purge. We want to see what happens. I mean, because there's a lot of Jedi's. We have a bunch of Jedi's and they're gone now. And I want to see that. We want to, but right now the only way we can see it is through imagination. And these kids are seeing it through visual effects that somebody makes a story. Might not be a story that we like, but they're seeing it and they don't care. And it's just different because we had our toys. These were our video games. These were our video games that we played and did stories. We would build bunkers. I mean, we would build tunnels under the ground and have them hide here and fight, and then have our what is it called? Our tie-ins with G.I. Joe and Transformers together and make our own stories. And we did it.
Mashups, right? The mashups.
There you go. Yeah, mashups. And it's like Gab said, I made my broom a lightsaber. So did I. And that's what was fascinating,
I made my tennis racket a guitar, but that's a different story altogether. Anyway, I digress. So, anyway, go on, Jada.
No, I mean, I was pretty much done. Like I mean, those are the prime examples of what is different from us.
Yeah. I was saying I made
and
a tennis racket and jumped on my bed like a rock star. But anyway,
there you go. You see, you go.
That's my problem. That's my problem, not anybody else's. I got mental problems. No,
but you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. But look, Peter. That's the thing that every era, every generation had differently.
Mm.
Sometimes the eras before us, a lot of our parents had to grow up fast because you know things were hitting bad, and a lot of them were being drafted to war or things like that. So they didn't get to enjoy what we enjoyed. So what they did is our kids are going to enjoy what we didn't get to enjoy. Now the kids back before that, they were into cowboys and Indians, which now it's not Indians, it's indigenous people. So I'm gonna correct myself on that, but I don't want anybody to get offended. But that's how it was said before, and they had it different from what we had it.
Yeah, I guess in
So
World War I, World War II, Vietnam, and all these wars, that I think their escape were comic books, mainly mainly DC detective comic books or Marvel, or um, just writing letters to their loved ones. Probably, you know, uh, they collected they collected watches, grand, pocket watches, or
yeah,
and especially in World War I, and Gallipoli, um, they really they had their own little trinkets they had, and you know, wrote home uh, 10, 20, 15 to 100 times a day, probably, to their loved ones. In Vietnam, they probably had their comic books because Stan Lee and DC Comics were around more. Schuster, Joel Schuster, whatever his name was,
yeah.
the Superman comics. So yeah, you're right. I mean, times have
Well,
changed,
there you go.
do change. So
There you go.
yeah.
You just said it. So can you imagine if we were back in that era and we see the people, what were they thinking when their kids are playing with dolls and trucks and all that? They're like,
Mm.
man, you guys have it spoiled. We never had that. We had books. We
Mm.
imagined with books.
Yeah.
And then those people are imagining, well, I can drive a truck. And then now they're seeing us with little GI Joes, and it's like, I didn't need all that. I didn't need a little figure like that. I had to just make my own figure with this figure. So things are starting to
Yeah.
advance to where
Yeah.
everybody's gonna think differently, and it's just our era. In our era, I mean, because I'm gonna be honest with you, Pete. When you get a GI Joe from the '80s, you look at it.
Oop. All right, he'll be back. He'll be back. He'll be back. He's
I think we're cutting off.
Yeah. He'll be back. All right.
Fine.
Stay here.
Can you hear me?
I'll, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
I'll,
it's my cutting off. So, I think
that's
we'll
right.
probably end it in a little bit just so.
Yeah.
But if you look at the
Yeah.
Joe for its time, it was advanced for a lot of other figures because you had the swivel arms, where you can swivel the arms sideways. You had the bending of the elbow, arms going shoulder flexion, abduction, the head turning, going up and down. You can move the wrist joints, knees, and everything. So this was advanced for its time when others were just very stiff and had only had 5 points of
Mm.
articulation. So that's the reason why I ended up loving GI Joe. Not that I didn't love the other figures. I mean, a good example is Transformers. I rather have the old Transformers than the new ones because the new ones are hard to transform. And then you go back to wanting to put them back to the vehicle, and you're like, well, how did this go? That's not fun for me. That fun for me is
Not
just
fun for
okay,
Stevie either.
transform,
No.
boom, I got it, go back,
Yeah.
boom, and that's what I like about the vintage. And but then again, that's what I liked about using the imagination of this and
Mm.
Transformers. And times were changing throughout those years. I mean, I know a lot of people saying that '80s was the best era. Well, yeah, it was the best era for me, best times for me.
I
For the '90s
I grew
kids,
up
it
in
was Power Rangers and all that. For
yeah.
people before that, it was Lone Ranger and stuff like that. So I'm not gonna say that the '80s was the best era. For me, it was. Maybe not for others. You know?
It's um I JJ I know we're having problems. You're having problems with the internet. Um, so how about I'm going to say this to the chat too and you now. I really want to continue getting to know you. How about doing a part two? So when you get your internet going better, right, or getting better,
Yeah.
or going better, right, we can jump back right into it. So you're not cutting out as much, and
That'll be
is that
great,
all
my
right?
friend.
Is
That'll
that
be
fine?
yeah,
So
that'll be great. I'm having a great time with you, so I
yeah,
wouldn't mind doing a part two.
um,
Let's do a part two,
um,
3, 4, 5, and 6 if you
yeah,
want to. We'll
exactly,
do a whole
exactly.
we'll do a
Yeah,
whole Rocky series, but we'll call it the Peter and JJ series, collection or
yeah.
whatever. You
The
know.
JJ versus PGM. It's our own initials. You be Rocky. I'll be small looking, long haired Creed. But so
I don't want to be the good guy. You be the good guy. I like being the villain.
okay, I'll be the good guy. Um, I'll be the good guy. But everybody in the chat, I'm going to say it's been a pleasure. Mind you, again, it's going to be parts. We'll be JJ and I will be back talking with each other forever and a bloody day, most likely, because. And I mean that in a good way because he's a lovely bloke. He's a lovely man. I do actually admire JJ for actually doing what he feels he must to get better in his well-being, and he's a good family man. You can see that in his mannerisms and his love for people in the community. And I love chatting with him in the chat when I'm with Rebels. It's really
Thank you.
fun, it's fantastic, and that's the part 2, 3, 4, 5 we're going to talk about is him and Rebels and being gun for hire more. But due to technical difficulties,
Yeah.
that's no fault of his. It's just where he is at the moment. Probably atmospherics can play a big part as well. Believe you me, I've sat here with people who have not come back
No,
because of
I'll
technical
definitely come
difficulties.
back. I'll come back.
Um, but brother, you're fantastic. You're always welcome on my streams
Thank you.
any time of day, week, night, month, decade.
I
Even when I'm
appreciate that.
dead. Even when I'm dead.
Oh,
You're
well, we'll still continue out on even afterlife. Life, like Malcolm said, life finds a way.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Apart from one guy who got eaten on a toilet, but we won't go there. So, uh, so everybody, and it's actually we've actually JJ, we've actually nearly done an hour, so that's pretty good
Yeah.
for a one. So everybody in the chat, thank you very much. Stay tuned, stay tuned, because once I get better as well, um, if you're
Please do
available,
get better, my
if
friend.
you're available next week, even if you're available next week and you've got a better internet, just give me a heads up, JJ, and we'll
Sure.
continue it. If not, we'll figure something out. Okay,
Sounds good. Yeah.
so I will play you out of my stay in the green room, JJ. Stay in the
Uh-oh.
green room. Um, uh, anyways, say adios. Goodbye. God bless you,
Adios.
JJ. Um,
Thank you.
hang
Thank
on.
you.
Okay, put them in the green room. Goodbye from me, everybody. Like as I said, it's me. Got the wrong one. So just gonna play you out this. Till next time, goodbye. Take care.